we go.
We're riding. Hype happy hour, talking about life, so you might feel empowered. Hype happy hour, tornado on the mic with a guest giving flowers. Hype happy hour, tools, interviews, provide life tapping power. Hype happy hour, positive and light with advice, build your tower. Happiness is key, so you gotta bring the smiles out. Inspiration needs a bit of passion to just wild out. Positivity and optimism when we ride out. Enthusiasm and dreams, gotta feed them till your time's out.
Let's go. Hyped Happy Hour, episode 35. I am here. I am your host, Gentle Tornado, and I am on an absolute journey to make positivity louder. I created a company called Live Hyped. Hyped is an acronym that stands for happiness, inspiration, positivity, enthusiasm, and dreams. And if you look at the bottom left, my logo is an H with a heartbeat in the middle because we never know how many heartbeats we have. So I am on an absolute mission to make those heartbeat counts and just spread positivity and enthusiasm in the words within Hyped. I love to bridge the gap between extraordinary people in Web3 and their personal life and get to know them a little bit better. So I am joined on episode 35 with the leader of the plague, an absolute legend, a humble man, a hardworking man, a motivation. Pons, my guy, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me. This is a cool format, and I'm looking forward to engaging in it and hearing what you got, hearing the questions you got.
Let's go, my man. So how we started off is with what we're grateful for today. So what are you grateful for?
What am I grateful for? I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to be talking about, JPEGs that we can afford and all over the internet that we can afford. And there's a lot of people in a lot worse positions than us. So I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely. So the way we started off with is just an origin story. Like, who is Pons? Obviously, as much as you're willing to give us, like maybe a little bit about your growing up and to a little bit of your business career and to how you got into Web3 and just kind of a 2 to 3 minute backstory of who you are and how you got here.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 to 3 minutes. Growing up.
I mean, listen, you could go 10 minutes. I'm down to listen, but yeah, whatever.
10 minutes now. But so growing up, I was single mom. Raised us up until I was about 14. So we were poor. She got remarried when I was 14, going into my freshman year of high school. And so we moved from poor to probably middle class at that point. Right. And so never had a lot of money growing up, worked my way through college, was working retail, actually 50, 55 hours a week and taking courses at the same time. And yeah, so I ended up getting into the business world and worked my way up the ranks there. And I've had a fairly successful career in the business world, working for Fortune at one point 50 company and working, for overseas companies. And yeah, and what brought me into Web3. So I came for the money. I started in 2017 in crypto. And I got wrecked at the end of 2017, early 2018, like everybody else that jumped in then. When did you get into crypto?
2020. So
yeah,
I missed that wave.
Yeah. So getting in when I got in would be the equivalent of buying big in April of this year, right? So you spent a bunch of money and everything tanks. Yeah. So I went kind of dark and dormant. I left some of my holdings there. And then when things started picking back up, actually a friend of mine, or it wasn't necessarily a friend, I was coaching a football team, and he was the assistant coach, and he was explaining the technology behind it to me, and it kind of clicked at that point. So then I was like, well, damn it, I missed all these last couple of years where everything was cheap. And I started buying back in, then got in NFTs in 2021, specifically with the virtual land, Sandbox, and Decentraland. And then started paying attention more into what was happening with the NFT market. I started Twitter for the first time. It's my first social media ever in October of 2021. I actually loathe social media. So I had never been on it before, but I got on it because you had to be on it to understand what was happening in the NFT space. My first big purchase was a mutant ape, followed shortly after by a regular ape. And then I used the ape as my PFP, and everybody thought I was an expert. And so that just kind of muddled along for a couple months, and saw the opportunity with the technology and everything, and decided to found the frogs in an effort to use the ethos of Web3, which is community, to build something cool. And that's what we're doing.
Dude, that's wild. So what was it like to experience like 2018? Like pretty depressing, or like much harder than what we're at now, I'm sure?
Well, no, it sucked. Well, yeah, I mean, it was probably equivalent to the people that jumped in early this year, you know, from a loss standpoint. I didn't go in super heavy back then. So it's not like, you know, I was having to pick up an extra job to pay rent or anything, but it sucked. And at the time I was just trading it for money. Like I did not believe in any of the things that these people were saying, that all this stuff was going to be the future. I was just trying to speculate and catch a pump and sell on the way out. And I got caught with a bag instead.
Yeah, absolutely. How heavy did you go back in when you got back in 2021?
Heavy. In fact, any stocks I had, I cashed them out, went straight into crypto. All the money I would have used for regular savings or investments outside of the traditional investments went into crypto. So I went heavy.
Wow, that's wild. So is your friend that told you about crypto still in? Is he still in with us?
Yeah. Yeah, he was actually, I think he started in 2015 or something like that. And so he's a believer, longtime believer. And I think he got caught off guard. He was expecting all these people saying Bitcoin were going to go to, you know, 300 or whatever. I think he thought Bitcoin would hit 100, and that was his cash out point, and he was going to be set for life. And he's going to have to wait a couple more years now.
Yeah.
Back around.
I admire people that have been in that long. Like, you know, it takes an extreme amount of patience to like this tech that has been, if you look back 2015, like, fuck, man, that takes so much patience to like believe in it and to wait it out, then to have the crash in 2018 where there definitely wasn't the community that we have now. And so it's kind of like, yeah, we're in a bear market, but like the community is still kind of like, we're all kind of having a good time. Like, yeah, all of our bags are down, but like, I feel like the energy, like if you didn't have this, yeah, it would be tough for sure.
Yeah, and I think the patience is really hard, especially for I would imagine in the NFT market, a lot of the folks in here, you know, they're not super rich or whatever, and so when the things start pumping, they get real excited and they sell too early, or when things crash, it completely ruins them and they leave. NFTs is tougher than coins, honestly, because with coins, you can jump out at any given point. You'll lose some money. NFTs, you can try and jump out, and some other dude's going to come on and list it at 0.001 less than you, and he'll be the first one in line. And then it's just a row. It happens all the time. NFTs is a tougher game for sure than coins. I don't recommend.
I never understood when, like, let's say an NFT was selling, right? And there's 1,000 sales a minute or something. And like, you got people like just undercutting so much. And it's just like, man, if you just don't undercut the fact that there's more sales coming in, like it's just going to keep going up, but people would undercut and then it would drive the floor down. Like, it's actually just wild to me. Sometimes when I used to trade, I don't trade as much anymore because it's like too much for me. But
yeah, I'm not a very good. The money I've made in crypto and NFTs has never been on flipping. It's been, well, short-term flipping. It's always been like, okay, I see the potential here. I'm going to hold till it hits the potential for the most part. And that's like the ape. I bought it, I think 37 ETH. You know, I exited at a good time for the apes. I missed the ape coin drop, but I think it was like I sold mine for 100 ETH. And so that's because I saw the potential in the apes and I had a target, and that was my target. And I feel a lot of people lose their, they don't think about it that way. Like the seals are a perfect example. You know, the seals, Anytime they get a pump, man, all the listings come, and I've held a seal. I'm negative on seals and their ecosystem big time, but I believe that it's going to go back up. So I really don't pay attention to it much, other than just interested in the ebbs and flows. But I have full faith that the seals are going to be a bigger project, and all these people that are dumping for this 0.5 ETH profit are just going to be killing themselves here, and not literally, but in the next year or two.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think like when you think about strong, like I would say, to be honest, like you guys, like the plague, it's just like respect's got to be given. Like they definitely the most underrated community, but they ride probably, I would say almost like probably harder than the seals. I think the seals is more of like it's like a clout kind of thing. Like people buy a seal to like get the little bit of recognition on Twitter. They definitely have a strong community, and I like WOB. And then I would say like Pudgies is pretty popular right now. And then even like a Dark Horse, man, is like you see a lot of Azuki PFPs, like a fucking lot of Azuki PFPs.
Yeah,
I don't know if they ride as hard, but like they're around.
I had Azuki at one point, and they're a strong community. And the ones that are still around, I mean, you got to give them credit, even if Zagabond was a rugger, which is not up for dispute. They stuck with it, and ultimately, again, this goes down to what I've always said about the apes. The apes made the apes, not the devs. The devs still have not delivered anything. Now they've brought value back to their holders through the ape coin and mutants and dogs and all that other stuff, but they didn't deliver anything besides new NFTs. And the apes were made by the community. Zagamon had cool art that he brought out, but Azuki had not delivered anything when their floor was pumping. It was just cool art, and the community made it. Same thing's going to happen with the seals. I talk about the seals floor price because I can't talk about the frogs floor price. So for sure, I know the frogs community is, I would say, the strongest out there. But we've got to earn our own niche in the market, and we're doing that. And I think we'll continue to see progress like we have seen, and things will just keep moving up for us.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. So you don't have any more exposure to the apes. You've sold out completely.
Yeah, I'm out. Yep.
Yeah. Do you have any other big project that you hold?
No, I've got one penguin. Like I said, I've got a bunch of the seals crap. I've got 8 seals. I've got a palace in their Pixelverse, which, if the Pixelverse is as good as I hope it's going to be, that'll be a good asset. And I've got some of their pixel pets. I'm trying to think. Genuine Undead. That's another good community. But as far as high floor prices and stuff like that, I haven't really done much, because ever since I founded the frogs, I haven't had time to as much for the trading or the investing part as I used to.
Yeah, I love that. How much time are you like working on the frogs compared to like, are you still working Web2 businesses or?
Yeah. I would say, depending on the week, I'm working anywhere from 80 to 90 hours a week. So the split just depends on what's busy where. So yeah, it's, but definitely full-time hours in both. And that's not a complaint. This is what I like to do. I've always liked the business aspect of things and the competition of it. And, really, I need to do a better job on the family and intangible sides more than anything. So the work stuff's always easy. I've never complained about working. I enjoy it.
Yeah, no, that's fucking awesome. I mean, I think like if you enjoy it, then it's almost like not work at that point. Yeah, have you thought about like transitioning? Do you want to transition out of Web2 or?
Yeah, I think when the time is right, but it's good for me not to be relying on the frogs for my salary to pay my bills and stuff like that, because ultimately if things get worse in the market and the volume dies everywhere and there's no volume coming in, I can still continue to work on the frogs, because again, I don't need their money to survive. And so I'm here for the long run, and having the other income stream helps with that.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think like what you guys are building is really good. And I think like kind of like what we touched on with the crash, like just patience overall is definitely people underestimate it. And building a business, as you know, for sure, is just if the patience, when you deploy patience, it's so powerful.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so we're going to get in. So we go word by word. So the first word is happiness, but I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to read to you my favorite definition of success. It's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So it says success: to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate the beauty, or to appreciate beauty, to find the beauty in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know that one life is breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded.
Yeah, that's great.
So I was really excited. I was really excited to read that because you drop bombs on the timeline with your quotes. So how do you feel about that?
No, I think that's great. I think as a person, it would be hard to live up to all of those, but I don't think that's what he was saying. Because if you can just do a couple of those, you've succeeded. And so I think I like that quote a lot. Actually, you have to send that to me when we're done.
Absolutely. No, I was pumped. I was like, oh man, Ponce hits the timeline every morning. It's an absolute fucking banger. So I kind of hit him with a good one. All right. So the first question under happiness is, what makes you happy every single day?
What makes me happy? Man, that's a tough one because I'm not a very touchy-feely guy, honestly. So it's hard for me to reflect on that stuff. What makes me happy?
I'm gonna ask some hard questions then.
Yeah, that's going to be hard for me, for sure. I think ultimately I don't look at a day and say, okay, this day made me happy. So it's more of like if I have a short-term or long-term goal, either for myself, my family, the frogs or whatever, and we're getting closer to that, that brings me happiness. Seeing my kids and stuff achieve their goals brings me happiness. Yeah, but being touchy-feely is probably one of my biggest weaknesses. So this is going to be a good one for you.
Actually, how old are you?
I was looking forward to this too, because your personality and demeanor is the complete opposite of mine, which is great. I mean, I love it. I love what you're doing, but I could never do it. Like it's just not me.
I appreciate that. No, I've been excited to have you on. I think we've had like some really good interactions in spaces, and just like bring like a little bit of energy out of people. Even like I was on a Twitter space this morning, and I it was like early. It was like 5:30 a.m. or something, and they threw it to me to GM, and I just GM'd and I went crazy. I was driving to work in my car, and they were like, the next guy that spoke, like his voice was elevated. And he was like, I don't know how to follow Gentle Tornado. And I came off mute and I was like, dude, like you're literally speaking at a more enthusiastic rate because I spoke. And he was like, yeah, like I am like more excited. And there was another person that came off mute was like, yeah, like my energy is elevated. So it's kind of cool that just like kind of reflect on that. So how old are your kids?
My oldest is a senior. She's 18, and I've got 16. I started young. I started when I was 25, and then nice. 12 and 9. Oh,
that's cool. That's really good ages.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Chaos, actually.
Yeah. I think I had my first son when I was 24. So okay, so I wanted to start early because I wanted to be a young dad. I want to be a young dad for sure.
Yeah, there's benefits to that for sure, no doubt.
What's that like having a senior, your first one's about to graduate? Like it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it makes you feel old for sure. And it's weird. I don't think it'll actually hit me until she heads off to college, but it's a weird thing to think that and it doesn't even feel that long ago since I was 18. Now I really sound like an old man, but I don't. But it really is weird.
That's awesome, man. No, that's gonna be a fun experience for sure for you and your wife and your family. What is the happiest moment of your life so far?
The happiest moment of my life. I think the happiest moment of my life probably was the firstborn, and I would say the other three, were equal, but at that point, that was the first experience. And so that was probably the happiest moment of my life. It's a surreal moment, but definitely the happiest.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your feelings, because I was talking about this with someone earlier today. Like when I had my firstborn, I just was like, almost like I got a different energy. I was just like, yeah, I just like now you're responsible for raising another human. And so it's like something that is almost unexplainable. Can you just like talk a little bit maybe about how you felt in that moment?
Yeah, that's the key. I would say really what it does is, especially when you're young and you have a kid, it kind of makes you realize, well, hopefully it should. It did me, and it sounds like it did you. It makes you realize that, okay, you got to stop screwing around and get down to business. Now, if you mess up and get fired or you do something stupid, you're a baby, and so it makes you think on a different level.
No, it's awesome. I feel like I'm a younger version of you. Literally, people are like, what have you've been going out? Like, oh, you live in Vegas, because I live in Vegas. They're like, you live in Vegas? Like, you go out all the time? I'm like, no, dude. I'm up at 4 a.m. I fucking, I eat some breakfast, get some coffee. I go to work. I'm working till 6. I get home. I spend an hour with the kids. They go to bed. I'm fucking hanging out with the wife for 30 minutes, and I'm working until fucking 11. Sleep, back at it. Like, there's no, like, I don't go out. I don't go drink. Like, there's no, like, I think if you want it bad enough and you have your kids, like, that's all I care about is like being a good example for them. So I feel like that's kind of cool that you're like the older version of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything takes time. So I very rarely drink. And one of the reasons why is if I had a beer right now, I'd be tired and I'd fall asleep, and then I'd be more tired in the morning than I would be too. So I just don't mess with it. That doesn't bring me anything other than a buzz, which I can live without.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think if it doesn't bring the positive benefits, then it's definitely not worth it. So the last question under happiness is maybe some communities that we've kind of touched on this before, but like, what are some communities that you enjoy outside of the plague? Like maybe some NFTs that you can see, maybe that you're kind of bullish on, and it's not like a shill, obviously, but like maybe some communities that you enjoy.
Yeah, well, I think that there's a bunch that are out there that like obviously the seals, we talked about that. The penguins, actually a little a lesser known project, but they've been around a while. And this isn't necessarily hey, I think their floor is going to go crazy, but the cool dogs, that community it's relatively small, but they've been around, I think, over a year now, or coming up on a year or something like that, and they've hung together pretty well. Trying to think. The Kets, those people seem crazy. The Kets on crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are the ones that come to my mind. There's a couple on Cardano that seem to have good community. The Mutant NFTs and Derps and those guys. So yeah, I think that for the projects and the founders that are starting to understand that the get rich quick thing is not necessarily the way to go, and are trying to build a community and then build utility for that community. I think those are the ones that are going to be successful. And you're starting to see a lot of old projects die off, and you're not getting nearly as many new projects. So I think we'll start seeing a real mature market, or a more mature market, surface here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think like the more time that goes on, the more mature we're getting, for sure. And we vote kind of with our money and where that goes to. And so I'm kind of just excited to see like the evolution of the tech and how that evolves, but also like the projects that are actually doing things, because like, yeah, like kind of what you touched on before about Bored Apes, like love the apes, hope they succeed, but like they have to deliver, I feel like, on this game. And that's like it's like seems pretty intense. And so like those kind of things, like there's other projects that are very, very doing a very good job. And so I think like to watch the evolution is going to be interesting.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, dude, let's get into inspiration. And I gotta throw you flowers. Just say that you absolutely inspire me, man, with what you've built with the plague. And you're a family man and willing to at least open up a little bit on the podcast. So I appreciate you coming on. The first question or inspiration is, what is one lesson in your life that you've had to learn the hard way?
Yeah, well, it's one lesson that I think is important for everybody to understand, and I learned it the hard way, like you said, is that everything that we're doing from a materialistic standpoint, the frogs that we're building, the businesses that I've been a part of in the past, in the end, they're all kind of meaningless. And so they need to understand that when you're building up. I can't tell you, there's been, well, a couple of instances. There was one company that I was a part of early on that I kind of built an empire there, and from a career standpoint. And, the unit that I was over was #1 in the company, and we were making all this profit, and company went bankrupt. So, it's one of those things where, okay, there's a saying that I learned during that time frame. It's I was climbing the ladder of success, but it was leaning up against the wrong wall. Well, honestly, I think the wrong wall is all these walls we're building these ladders on eventually are going to crumble. None of this stuff, 100 years from now, nobody's going to know Pons was the founder of the frogs. I don't believe that to be the case. And like I said, I've been a part of multiple successful organizations, and ultimately, one way or another, I always leave them, either promotion or bankruptcy or whatever the case may be. And so, yeah. Did I answer your question? I can't even remember.
Yeah, that's like, I guess, I don't know what your lesson was. It was good to like hear you talk about it, but like, would the lesson be like that? Yeah, I don't know. Kind of like sum it up. I think that would be.
I think the lesson is that I think we take a lot of this stuff more serious than it is. Ultimately, when you're dead, none of it's going to come with you, and what you got left is not going to be the things that you built materially. That's the lesson.
No, I love that. I love that, and honestly, you're going to absolutely love the poem that I read at the end of the show. That is going to be a fucking bang. That's like that's Pons level. So just be ready for that. So that's good. That's good foreshadowing. Okay, what do you love about Web3 that inspires you to want to be doing it every day?
I love the potential of it. First of all, the potential of decentralization and the transparency it will bring or could bring to a lot of the shady parts of our lives, whether it be government or business or even just peer-to-peer transactions and those kind of things. So I think that opportunity and that possibility is inspiring to me, and is what brought me to want to start a project. On the flip side, I think it could go really wrong, but we'll stay away from that one for this one.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to ruin your vibe, man. I don't want to ruin your vibe.
No, it's okay. It's completely okay. No, I think like truth and transparency is a big thing that I'm really hoping it brings. There's a lack of that in the world, and there's like a lack of, I don't really know how to word it, but like a lack of ethics. And I was talking to some people today, and I was just like, man, like if you run a business and you truly build your word up to where it actually matters with what you say and what you do, where you actually deliver on what you do, you are going to be so powerful, because most people in business, most businesses, like the customer service level is so low in our country, especially in our country, in the US, that's like, it doesn't almost matter. Like, yeah, I'll finish your pool in a month, and then it's fucking 6 months. Yeah. And like, you don't even know. And so it's like that truth and transparency. I hope like we can grow that to be an important thing that was back in the day. I mean, I grew up in Vegas. So like Vegas back in the day was built on customer service, built on like the casino, like all that stuff. And now it's just complete shit out here.
What's funny is my grandmother, she's 97 now. And she used to always say, Vegas was ruined when the mob got kicked out, that the mob used to run it with customer service in mind. And then when the mob got kicked out, ironically enough, it went to crap.
100%. I would agree with that. Absolutely, man. And it's like it's a sad thing to see, because like you know, we had talked a little bit before we came live, but like with Snap-on, right? So like I've ran a franchise for almost 9 years now. And I'm at this point where like in the business, I would say like just this year it probably started, but it's been slowly getting there. So I would say 80% in the past years of our business was customer service driven. Like people would buy tools from me because they liked me, because I was good at my job, because I followed through. And this year I would say like, it's like fucking 30% customer service. It might be even lower because people are just so cheap. Like they'll go buy something else. They don't necessarily put customer service up because it's so low in other places. And that was kind of an interesting thing to see, like, happen, like evolve. Like I was just like, oh shit, like it's not as important. And so it's kind of like interesting because like I'm still gonna do my thing. Like it's embedded in me to do good customer service. And so like, but it's also the sales aren't following, right? So it's a very interesting way to watch that happen over the years.
Yeah, and I think that unfortunately that's a trend that's going to continue, especially as the personalization of things gets taken away through, like, again, I'm going to sound like an old man here, but kids can't even have a regular conversation, you know, face to face. It gets all weird because they're just talking over Snapchat or whatever the hell it is. And yeah, that's one thing that I make my kids do, is have real conversations either on the phone or in person so that they can learn that skill. I think it's going to be a scarce skill in the future. But one thing you said about transparency I want to hit on is because in Web3, I think that can change a lot of if more businesses adopted the transparency that we are trying to have as the frogs. Like we post all of our transactions, we post balances and bank balances. And that's not just, you know, for shady people. I was telling one of the frogs this because they were asking something. They apologized for asking me a question about it. And I said, no, you should be asking questions. And that's why we posted, is because even honest people and good people, if the temptation is there, they can fall to it for it. Nobody is perfect. And so posting things and keeping things transparent is a way of keeping myself accountable too. I'm a human being. I can make mistakes just like anybody else. So having transparency and having people that are holding you accountable to things, it roots out corruption. And I think if we can implement that in more business and government, it would be great. That's a pipe dream, but that's the hope.
Yeah, no. I absolutely agree with you. And I think like what you said, like nobody is perfect, right? And there's been definitely instances where you mess up something, but if you do it right there, you correct it right there, like that, it's, you know, you've already shown like what you're capable of and you can fix that. And I think like people are scared almost to be honest these days. Like maybe when they mess up, but it's like, it's so okay to fail. And it's actually like even better to show that you're vulnerable in business to like your customer, for example, that you are capable of failing, right? Like, oh yeah, like, dude, I'm sorry I fucked up. Like I build this wrong. Like I'll fix it right now. Like we'll get it fixed right now, right? Like you're not too good to fail. Like it's okay to fail because you have to be set back to grow.
Oh yeah, failures. Anybody that says that they've never failed at something, or they're lying. So, or you shouldn't hire them.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have anybody in your life that's been like an inspirational leader or someone you've looked up to throughout your life?
No, I don't. There's people in history that I look up to, but so like I said, I mean, the closest to it would be my grandfather, you know, but he passed away when I was 20, I think 21, something like that. And I would spend summers with him, and he was just a hardworking man. So that's probably the closest thing I could come to like a role model from a personal standpoint. There's people in history that I have a lot of respect for that, you know, have made an impact on things. But yeah, there's not one person that I'm like, man, I want to be like that guy or that girl or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I know. I actually like that because you can find inspiration from so many different things. Like, are you willing to share those people that you know from history? Or
yeah, I mean, I quote a lot of them. So G.K. Chesterton, Winston Churchill, all of I like the history behind the founding fathers. If you dig into the correspondence back and forth, That I don't remember if I named C.S. Lewis, but he's one of them. Like I said, Churchill. Some of the old philosophers, more and well-known, or well-known and lesser known. So yeah, I used to do a lot of reading before I got into Web3, and it took all my time. But yeah, I think I named enough there.
No, that's great. I think. Do you do audiobooks at all now that you're even more busy, or you're
I do I do audiobooks when I'm doing a mindless task, like I'm out, in the property doing stuff, or if I'm not waiting to get on a plane or something like that, or driving to the airport, I'll listen to audiobooks. Yeah.
I feel like you grew up like on a farm or something. Is that?
No, I didn't. No.
No, really? No. You have
I grew up in apartments, and I never went to the same school more than 1 year until high school. Well, I think that's not right. I think there was one school I went to 2 years, and then when I got to high school, I went all 4 years in high school, but I was moving around a lot, so definitely not on a farm.
That's pretty intense, dude. What like multiple states or just cities?
Well, multiple states, but mainly in Texas. But I lived out in California for 2.5 years with my biological father, and then we moved back to Texas. But yeah, mainly in Texas. Around mainly in Texas.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. What I'm interested about this question. What's your favorite inspirational movie?
Ooh, my favorite inspirational movie. Let me think about that. Does Braveheart count as an inspirational movie? I don't know.
That's a good fucking movie. Listen, I knew you were going to deliver. I just didn't think it was going to be that good, to be honest.
That's my favorite movie. Braveheart's my favorite movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie. That might be one of my dad's favorite movie.
Yeah, it's a great
Gladiator.
Movie. Gladiator's a great movie. Those movies like that, The Patriot, also the Mel Gibson movie.
So good. Let's go. I absolutely love it.
I love movies like that.
What? Give me some other movies you like. I like this because some people don't like watch movies. So every time I get someone that watches movies, I got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, well, I watch zero TV. So if I watch anything, it's going to be a movie. So what I say, Braveheart, Gladiator, Patriot, Tombstone. That's a great movie. I like Armageddon. Believe it or not, it's kind of a cheesy movie, but I like Armageddon. Inception. That was a cool movie. Inception. I like that. We Were Soldiers. I like Mel Gibson and his work a lot.
Yeah. We're seeing a theme now. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right, dude. We're gonna move to positivity. This is my jam. You already know that. I'm on a mission to make positivity louder every single day. I think there's just an abundance of negativity in the world. And so what we talk about on positivity is like positive mindset. And so the basic definition of positive mindset is the practice on focusing on the good in any situation. So it doesn't mean that you're delusional, right? Everything, crazy shit happens every single day. It just means that you choose to focus on the good. So since you've been in business, you're an entrepreneur, you definitely have to have a positive mindset. So can you tell the people listening, like, maybe how you created a positive mindset or how big of a factor that plays in your life?
Yeah. And maybe you can define this as a positive mindset. But the way I look at things in business, so let's just say an event happens that is not positive. I look at it and think, okay, what could I have done better to fix it? And if there's nothing I could have done better to fix it, if it's outside of my control, I disregard it and I move on to trying again in a different way. And so I guess if you want to call it a positive mindset, there's nothing that I do that I don't think I can do. Like what I mean is, like, I'm very, you could call it confident, cocky, whatever the case may be. I don't believe if I set out to do something, I'm going to fail. Now, I've failed plenty of times, but I go in with the mindset that I'm not going to fail. And then, I guess the way I usually say this is I deal with the world as it is and try to make it how I think it ought to be. So maybe that's the best answer I can give.
No, I like it. I think you're focusing on the like positives and growth and also like self-belief for sure. I would say that because I think that naturally I could say too that I'm very, very confident in myself. And my wife has told me that it sometimes comes off as arrogance or cockiness, but I'm so genuine about it. Like I think that self-belief is so important in truly believing, right? Because even if you fail, at least you truly gave it 110% and really believe that you could do it.
Yeah, the people are scared of failure, but I mean, unless the failure ends in your death or serious injury, who cares? You just move on to the next thing. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna fail. There's nobody that's uber successful that hasn't failed at some point, and so that's just part of the game. Sorry for my voice. I've had a cold and I'm kind of losing it here, but sorry about that.
No, are you all right? You're good to keep going.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm just apologizing for the audience.
You sound like normal Ponce. You sound like normal Ponce. So yeah, absolute beautiful voice. So I don't really know what else to say. But what do you think are some positive benefits for Web3? Like, what do you think positive benefits for the future of Web3? Like, what can Web3 bring that's going to be positive for the world?
I think the transparency part is the best thing that Web3 can bring to the world. I mean, the community could be done without Web3. I think it's given a reason to build a community, but you can build a community like we're building here without the blockchain. But what the blockchain brings is transparency. And if it's used correctly, that transparency can help decentralize a lot of the power structures that their sole purpose is to gain more power. And so I mean, a perfect example is imagine if the blockchain was used effectively on elections. You got one soul-bound token in your wallet, says who you are, maybe not publicly, but there's a record of who you are and that you're able to vote in that spot. You vote with your wallet or whatever the case may be, whatever the technology is. How can you dispute an election or how can you dispute results if you've got that technology and that transparency? You couldn't. And I think that's just an example of a recent, last 6 years have been nonstop of all that nonsense of this person stole the election, that person stole the election. There's dead people voting. If you have this technology transparency, you would not have that debate because it's all on the blockchain. So that's just one example of many where it could help.
Yeah, no. I love that. I think like I'm bullish on technology helping us move forward. It's actually wild that like I've voted now three times now. And the first time when I voted, when I was 18, you found out like that night. And so somehow we've actually gone down as far as like the results thing goes. And so I think like, easy fix would be what you're saying. It might not be that easy, but what you're saying is the transparency and behind that. And it's like, yeah, if we go out and vote
you live in Vegas. I mean, Nevada's, they're all jacked up.
Yeah. It's an absolute shit show.
Yeah. It's crazy.
There was a joke, like I was on some spaces and they were like, Tornado, like, do you know who won? I was like, no, dude, we're not going to know for fucking 2 months. And then in 2 months, nobody's gonna fucking remember what the fuck is going on. And so it's just absolutely it's wild out here, dude. It's they like actually didn't even. I was more shocked that like I literally could have walked in and voted as anybody, and I would have just liked like a little bit of like verification. But yeah, it was just like maybe my ID or I don't know. Like it was kind of a joke, to be honest. Like.
Yeah, well, you look like an honest guy, so I'm sure,
Yes, so they probably were like, "Oh, this guy's cool. Maybe he's voted 100 times, but if not, he looks nice. He looks honest." All right, let's move into enthusiasm. This is also my
this is like a list of all my weaknesses here on the bottom of the screen. Is what
I kind of love it, man. I love it. We're gonna dive into it. Before we get into enthusiasm, I go kind of off topic, not like off topic, but we talk a little bit about manifestation and if you're into faith at all, like if you're religious at all. So do you practice, manifestation and are you faithful at all?
I don't practice manifestation. I do believe that there is a God though. And so I am a Christian by what's the way to say it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know either.
That's easy for a Christian. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. So am I. I am. I don't know what the right word is, just the terminology is there, but I think that makes me want to have things more like honest and ethical for sure. I live my life pretty ethical. I would think that you do too, if you're putting truth at the forefront of what you're kind of wanting out of this. So, all right, dude. So like enthusiasm, this is one life, man. Like I know you know, when you don't wake up, I know you don't just fucking want to run through walls. I know at Ponds it's okay, dude, because I'll do it for you. And I'll bring you with me. I'll be that guy in that space when you have the frog space going on, dude. You just bring me up and I'll go crazy for you. But this is one of my favorite questions to ask people. What are 3 things right now in your life that you can't get enough of?
Chick-fil-A was one. I can't get enough work. You know, I could sit down and work from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. I'd be divorced and a terrible dad, but I could do it. What's the third one? I can't get enough, man. I don't know what coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. I mean, I probably drink 8 cups of coffee a day.
That's not. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's fucking.
I know that's not what you're looking for, but you know, I've never been accused of being an enthusiastic person about anything. So,
what do you love to do with your kids?
Play football. I like to. My daughter's at the age now where I spend an hour or 2 a week with her, sitting down and just explaining life from the bottom up. So a lot of people, they learn these platitudes and these things from social media. And so what I'll do is she'll either pick a topic or I'll pick a topic and we'll talk through them. And I'll ask her what she thinks. And then she gives me the answer. I'm going to drill down to the very root of why she believes or thinks that. And if she doesn't know, then she's got to learn it. So I enjoy that. I enjoy that. And that's what I do with her. And with the boys, it's mainly football. They love football.
Yeah, for sure. Are you still coaching any of them or?
No. The last time I coached was 2 years ago now, but they're at the ages now where it's better for me not to be the coach. When they're young and small, it's good because I don't really anytime I'm a coach, I send out the email ahead of time and say, hey, if you're looking for somebody that is going to care whether we won or lost, find another team now, because that's not me. I'm here to have a good time with the kids, teach them the skills, and everybody. When I coach a football team, my goal is to have everybody score a touchdown, and that doesn't equate to a lot of wins. So now, when they get older and it becomes more competitive, that makes me not the right coach.
Yeah, no, for sure. What are you still in Texas?
Yeah. Yeah, I've lived in Texas, Florida, Ohio, New York, and California.
Yeah, Texas football is crazy. I actually almost I played college football, so my dream was to be a football coach, and I wanted to coach high school football in Texas because that's actually something that you can do and make a living with. Where most places, when you coach high school football, you can't make a living. And I just felt like, well, one, my wife wouldn't move to Texas because she wants the snow. Number 2 is that I felt like kids are getting so fucking soft that you almost can't tell a kid like, hey, listen, if you don't work harder, you're not going to do anything in football. And so like when you can't tell someone that, or like, you know, they need to hear that sometimes. And that just, I think I would probably run into problems with that.
Well, they're not scared to say that here. I can promise you that much.
Probably not in Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not.
But like sometimes you got to hear that you suck. Like you got to hear it. Like, I don't know. Like I've been called way worse things from a football coach, and that's fine because that helped me, mold me into the person I am today. And I think like sometimes you gotta have some tough love, right? Like obviously warranted, not unwarranted. But like, yeah, like, I mean, it's a hard sport, right? Most sports like that are hard. Like I told people like wrestling was the hardest sport I ever did my entire life. Like that is just like absolutely insane. It's just you versus you basically every single day.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I'm always very blunt in my criticism or just answers in general, and I always hope people are the same with me, because it doesn't do me any good to get the false positivity and all that other stuff. And so, of course, positive reinforcement is important, and it helps a lot. But if you have somebody that's not good at something and you don't tell them they're not good at it, they're either not going to get better, or they're good. Well, either way, they're not going to get better, but they could. Like, I've had people that have worked for me, and then they had a certain job, they just weren't good at it. So I could let them go on, and they end up getting, fired or distraught, or they quit because they're frustrated. Or you can say, hey, you're not good at this. Let's find something you are good at. And the problem is that creates an uncomfortable situation, and a lot of people avoid those situations. That's what a lot of poor managers avoid, those situations, the conflict of it, because they don't want to be uncomfortable, and it doesn't do them or the people that work for them any good.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Growth comes when you step outside your comfort zone. And that's just alpha. That's just alpha for life, man. Like shoot, get uncomfortable, right? Like even you coming on the podcast, right? Like these are probably questions you haven't either thought about or answered. And it's like, you're willing to come on, you're willing to tackle it and grow a little bit. And so, yeah, that's where you grow as a person, right?
Yeah, for sure. My son's a perfect example. He likes football. He's good at football. He wanted to play baseball. And I was like, dude, you suck at baseball. What are you going to go waste your time playing baseball? You can either work on football, or I said, if you love baseball and you want to play it, then go play it. But he didn't love it. He just wanted to play because his friends were playing. I was like, it's a waste of your time. You're going to get up there and you're going to hate that you got in it. Because the last time he played baseball, he was pissed off the whole time he was playing. I was like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. But,
yeah.
Mom,
no, for sure.
Yeah, go do it. But it just, anyways.
Yes, you're my type of guy, Pons. I love it. What has been the biggest accomplishment of your life?
Wow, the biggest accomplishment of my life. Looking back on it, the fact that I finished college, I had all the reasons not to. I was working a ton of hours. I was getting promoted, even though I didn't have the degree. And it actually set me back being promoted because I relocated a couple different spots, and finishing it, even though I don't believe degrees are, really that important in the grand scheme of things. I think it was a big accomplishment because before I was done, I had a kid, I was working full time and doing college. So that's probably, I would name that as the biggest accomplishment. There's been lots of business accomplishments, but honestly, to me, that came a lot easier. The business accomplishments come a lot easier than having to juggle all those things and following through when I didn't need to. I didn't need to follow through on that degree.
Yeah, like you didn't have to get the college degree to be successful.
No, yeah, I literally learned nothing from college. I just finished it because I needed to. I didn't buy the books the last 2 semesters of college.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I didn't get a whole lot out of college, and I don't think that you need to necessarily go to college to be successful, for sure.
No, if you're going for a specific skill, and it needs the schooling, then yeah, it makes sense. But like for a business degree, it's a joke. But anyways,
almost like real. I would take dude, 4 years of business. Let's say you went to school for 4 years. If you went and shadowed someone for 4 years and ran a business, I don't know, just under someone, you'll get so much fucking more experience in those 4 years than in your school class.
For sure.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many people I've hired that had a business degree that couldn't read a profit and loss statement. And so, that's really, you can't manage a business unless you know how to read a profit and loss statement. So what were they learning? They're learning all the theoretical stuff that doesn't really happen. And it definitely doesn't happen how they say it's going to happen in the book. So, yeah.
No, and I think sales, man, it's hand-to-hand combat out here. And if you can fucking sell yourself, that's just such a skill. It's so valuable. And I think I tell people every interaction's a sale. Every single interaction is a sale. And that doesn't mean it's got to be sleazy. Like it can be totally genuine, but like that's a skill, man. You got to learn to fail. Like you got to hear the word no fucking 1,000 times before you start developing a good skill to sell shit. 100%.
There's a small book. It's actually called Go for No. And I came across it when I was a retail sales guy a long time ago. They had me through a training. And I have 7 of them on my bookshelf right now because I give them to people. It's a stupid, cheesy book. But the point of the book is not what you sold. It's how many no's you got before you stopped selling. And if you learn that lesson as a salesperson or just anything in life, that it goes back to the failure. You're not only not afraid to fail, you're going for the failure before you stop. And it's a great book.
Dude, falling in love with the nose. I fucking love that, dude. Yeah. Absolutely love it. Let's go. Oh my gosh, Ponce, you're a legend. What is the most exciting moment for you so far in Web3?
Mint Day was fun. That was exciting because honestly, I planned it poorly as far as the cadence. I should have just done it all at once. But I did an OG mint, and then we did the Army mint 2 weeks after. And the OGs, because they minted, we gave them 3 free, or not 3. We gave them 3 Army mints, and we let them go first. And those dudes they minted, and then they bricked the floor. And so everything was going crazy, and the floor was dropping, and so we were at risk of not minting out. And then we got in the Discord and just started goofing off and copy pasting, and the futters started coming in, and I started copy pasting the futters, and people were laughing because I was copy pasting, and it was not really my personality. And then everybody started copy pasting, and then all of a sudden, I guess the alpha groups, because they're morons, they saw the Discord was crazy. And then all of a sudden, all the alpha groups started calling it, and then they all went running, and it minted out in like the last 3,000 minted out in like 30 minutes or something like that, or an hour. I can't remember, but that was a lot of fun. That was exciting. Minting out was exciting. That's honestly, minting out is the easiest part of a project. Getting the work done is the hard part, but that was probably the most exciting time in Web3.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, how far into your journey did you realize because when did you guys launch?
First mint was April 8th. Second was April 22nd.
So how long into this journey did you realize fuck, we got a really, really, really strong community?
I mean, honestly, before mint, we were a very hyped mint for the lack of, we didn't give anything to influencers, alpha groups like that. I kind of was like, man, is this how it always is? And because we were having a lot of fun. I was running the Twitter account, and I had Ugly Wook from the Seals was creating the memes, and I was writing the story behind them, and we were getting tons of engagement. I mean, we were getting, with like 20-something thousand followers, we were getting more engagement than Gary Vee gets with 4 million followers. It was a blast. So I knew something was a little bit different then. I didn't expect it to be as crazy as it was. And then after mint and the floor dropped, I mean, our mint price was 0.032 on the Army. And then at one point, the floor was like a 0.002 or something like that. And we still had a strong community, and people were positive, and I knew that it was going to be different. And we just kept the same style and cadence and transparency, and kept our message on point and set proper expectation. And it just keeps growing and growing. So from early on, I guess, is the best way to answer it.
Gee, that's fucking awesome, man. I mean, 8 months in, you guys are fucking ripping. I mean, can you imagine if you swept the floor at 0.002? You'd be living right now.
I did.
You did.
I have 221 frogs, or 220 frogs now. I gave one away, but I have 220 frogs, and I bought all of them. None of them were free.
Let's go. Absolutely legend. That's so fucking awesome. All right, listen, we're going to go into dreams. And you're definitely not going to like this one. So
I know. Actually, this is the one question I don't know what the question is, but I did see the answer from Moose, who's a much more positive and dreamy guy than I am. So I saw his answer, and I was like, oh hell, I'm gonna let him down.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought that this question was gonna be way too hard to do on the show, but as it's evolved, everybody just delivers a fucking banger answer. So that's
Well,
not pressure.
episode
Just your
35 is going to end that streak for you, okay?
No, I'm fucking excited about what you're going to say, okay? And you know what? Pressure, you don't fold under pressure. I already know you. So listen, the question is, what is the dream that you have for your life? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you my dream that I have for my life. And then you're gonna go off the top of the dome what Ponz's dream is he has for his life. So I'm Gentle Tornado. Okay. I'm an honest, enthusiastic, and successful man that will inspire others to live their life through happiness.
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's gonna be much better than what I've given you here. But
yeah.
So, what is the dream? So, I guess when I'm dead and lying in the casket and my funeral, that there's one, that I've left a good legacy for the family, and two, that there's people there that I have impacted their lives in a positive way. That's probably the dream for me.
Let's go, dude. I love it. I love it. You're gonna love the poem. I just I got to read a few more things, but then we're gonna get into that poem. This is kind of a fun question. I don't really know how you're gonna answer it, to be honest. And I don't ask everybody it, but I like it. So if you could tell your 13-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
If I could tell my 13-year-old self one thing, oh man, I made lots of mistakes between 13 and now. Patience. I would tell my 13-year-old self to be more patient, not to be patient, but to be more patient. Being impatient has helped me get to where I am, but it has also put me in some situations that would have been better to have not have been in. So yeah, to be more patient.
That's awesome. How do you feel about habits? Do you have healthy habits? Do you practice habits?
Yeah, I have healthy habits. And it's a weird thing with me and habits. I develop habits without trying to develop the habits. If I try and develop a habit, it's not going to happen. But I will develop habits as I'm doing them if I'm not thinking about trying to develop the habit.
Yeah. And then repetition.
Yeah. Repetition is the course.
Are you a cold shower guy?
No. I mean, what the hell are these people taking? Well, you take cold showers?
Cold shower is fucking truth, dude.
Dude, I hate fucking truth. I don't even like lukewarm showers. I get pissed off if the water's not full blazing hot.
Dude, you got to do it. You just got to do it. Just do it just do it one time. Listen, can you just I don't want you to promise, Pons, but can you just do it? This is all you got to do, okay? At the end of your shower, right? Just have a fucking hot shower, right? Blast that bitch. Last minute, you fucking count Mississippi's to 60. Cold, all the way cold, bro.
Why? What does it do? What's the point?
I don't know. It's just I haven't done the research, but all I know is it makes my enthusiasm 10x. So listen, that's all I gotta say to you. That should be some motivation. You don't need enthusiasm. I'm just saying, makes me feel good.
You have to do in that order. You do the cold and then the hot, or it's got to be ending with the cold.
I wouldn't do cold then hot. You're supposed to end it with cold.
Okay.
So psychopaths take a full cold shower, and I'm sorry for everybody that takes a full cold shower. I love you. You're not a psycho. You're just absolutely a legend. I can't do that shit, Pons. I cannot take longer than a minute and a half of coldness. But just a minute will really – I'm telling you, man, just try it at least once.
I will, but I'm going to wait till the summer. I'll wait till the summer before I go. I'm not going to do it in December.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It actually, you're not even cold when you get out. Because it's like, what? Well, how cold is it there?
It's not bad. It's like 50-something degrees. It's not too bad.
Yeah. It was like 30 degrees this morning. I did another podcast. I got the fucking heater on and shit. I'm so cold outside. Okay. Okay, listen. I gotta read you this poem, dude. This is gonna be, you're gonna really like this one. This poem means the absolute world to me. So it's called The Dash. It's by Linda Ellis. And it says, I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her casket from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what is true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash?
Oh yeah, that's awesome. It actually does go good with my dream thing there. That was a good, yeah, that's a good, it's almost like I knew that was coming.
Pretty wild. I was like, fuck, man, maybe I should just read it right now. It's like, you really kind of hit that.
Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah, I like that.
That was Pond's level quote status?
Yeah, for sure. Is that, do you read those two quotes you read here? Those are ones that you read on all your podcasts?
I do.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the success, I appreciate it. The success for me, one is like, there's nothing about money. There's nothing about anything. And it's kind of like the truth behind it is that you get to define your own success, right? Whatever that means to you. And I think like that's important for people to hear, whether that be from me, from whoever, because like, you know, yeah, if you like money and fast cars and shit, that's cool, right? You can define that as success for you, right? I might define success as being the best dad in the entire world, right? And so it's just kind of different perspectives. And then the dash for me is like, yeah, like it's the legacy, right? It's like, what are you doing on this planet or on Earth to make an impact, right? Because we have this opportunity. And so whether that be a good husband, a good father, a good businessman, or whatever you want to do to leave a legacy, I think that's very important.
Yeah, the problem with the success being measured in money and cars and things is it's not going to be enough. And I can tell you, I mean, again, I've been in the business world for a long time, and I started when I was working in college, making $33,000 a year, and I remember when I was making, man, if I can just make $100,000 a year, I'll be set. And this is not a flex at all. I'm just telling the story, okay? But I was making, of course, I was making that by the time I was like 24, and it was never enough. And today, you know, you're never going to look at what you have. At least it doesn't seem that. I haven't seen many people that have reached a point where they're like, okay, I have enough. It seems like when you're wrapping things in material or materialistic items that it's like when you buy a new car, you know, you love that you got that car. It's the car I always wanted. A couple months down the road, there'll be another car that you're going to be looking at. That's not your car. And I think that if you, like you said, more eloquently than what I'm saying, but if you wrap your mind around success that is related to material things, you're going to be disappointed all the time.
Yeah. No, I agree with that for sure. I agree. All right, dude. So this is how we end it. You get to leave the audience with one final thought. It could be literally anything. And then a final question.
I get to ask you a question, or you're asking me a question?
You get to ask the audience a question.
Final thought. I'll leave you with the same thing that I've kind of been preaching throughout this thing is, you know, don't take all this stuff seriously. It's too seriously. Don't live your life on Twitter. And everybody says, get out there and touch grass. Whatever you do, just go be around people. Stop being on Twitter all the time. That's my closing thought.
Let's go. I love it. What's your question?
When are they going to buy a frog? That's my question. Probably frogs on the rubber.
Yeah. Frogs are running right now. Frogs are fucking riding.
Yeah.
Yeah. When are you going to buy a frog? Okay. Buy a frog. We're out here. We're so out here. This has been a Hype Happy Hour, episode 35 with my guy Pons. I appreciate you coming on, Pons. You're an absolute legend. I'm looking forward to your fucking quote tomorrow. And we're going to keep going, man. We're going to keep riding. We're going to keep making truth priority in the space.
Thanks for having me, man. I love what you're doing. Love your personality and the energy you bring, especially since I can't do it. So I'm glad there's somebody like you that can. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And to everybody listening, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, share this with anybody that you think can get some value out of it. I am trying to make positivity louder, and we are absolutely riding. Peace.